some of your designer friends. Yes, as you heard, the pretty lady said that. All right, our today's agenda is I already welcomed you. We have slight changes in this meetup. We will have new warm-up session. We will, of course, continue with some community updates, both of our speaker talks. And what we have changed here is that after our speakers, we will have only 5 minutes of questions. So that means 1 or 2 questions after the speech. And then after the second speaker has finished her talk, I will ask the first speaker to join on like a panel discussion where both of the speakers have equal time to answer the questions. And of course, we will finish it up with some marketing promotional material where to join us and a cool down session. And of course, if you have something to say at the end, you will have a chance to do that. But now I will let you to my colleague Christianis to do some new activity where we are planning to take a super fun picture. And after the activity, I will ask my colleague Raitis to share some community updates and some exciting news. So Christiani, please take over my screen and let's warm up.
Yeah, thank you, Zanis. So I'll be not actually taking over the screen, but you'll be looking at me and following what I'm doing. Since this is a healthcare event, I thought that what better way to do is actually to energize ourselves with some activities that we actually need to do to stay healthy during our busy times behind the computers, sitting in the remote offices that we each have. So yeah, we'll spend a few easy exercises that we can do in front of our computers. So let's start with exercising our head and neck. So the first thing would be put your hand to the left hand side and do that for about 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And now, since we did the left hand side, let's do also one for the right. And again, 10 short seconds on this time. So the next part follows is that we also lean the back forward and try to get our chin towards our chest. And again, those same 10 smooth movements. And now, as you expected, one for the back. I mean, 10 times, but you know what I mean. And now let's finish our head movements with some rotations. Firstly, 10 rounds clockwise or counterclockwise. Whatever you start with would be good. And now the other way around. So once our necks are done, let's do one more with our shoulders. So try to lift your shoulders upwards and downwards and up and down and up and down. And as before, let's aim for 10 movements, roughly 10 seconds long. Nice. So now let's rotate our shoulders backwards. So moving forwards, lifting up and moving backwards. and slow and easy movements. Get those stiff backs, just sitting behind computer all day or watching some ice hockey for those Americans and Latvians. Okay, great. So thank you very much for this. This was a short exercise and something to remind you, try to do this every hour or couple of hours when you're sitting behind computer. Really helps to get those joints moving and then get some bit in your brain. Thank you. Let's continue with the event.
Did we got a chance to take a good picture of
yes,
us exercising?
Don't forget about the picture. Okay.
Or the ones who didn't turn on the cameras, maybe you can turn on camera now so we could take fun photo of you smiling. I hope you enjoyed our little relaxation. Perfect, thank you. Great. Now my colleagues can take awesome photo of us. Smile, everybody. Perfect. So write this when you are ready. Share some community updates with us.
Yeah, thank you, Zana, for passing the torch. As mentioned, we have some great updates and also an announcement, a very exciting thing where we'll be asking you actually to contribute in a very significant way. So bear with me a couple of minutes for the introduction about what this thing is about. Hopefully my slides will be working. Great. Hope you see something bluish, purple. Great. So as mentioned, the community updates, a couple of things we want you to remind of and actually ask your favor in. And one thing that we want to start with is that we really like that you share wonderful things and your observations in our Slack channel. And here are a couple of pictures shared by a few members of little annoyances, little observations about the things that are in some ways peculiar in the public spaces. For instance, this target on the left-hand side placed in a very peculiar spot, as mentioned by the author. It's vital not to miss the target, obviously, in this case, right? And in the upper right corner, you see a signage placed in very interesting spots, obviously targeted at a specific audience like toddlers or pets. I don't know, seems like that. But the thing is that we really like that you share things, that you share the ways how to improve our public spaces. And it also made us think how wonderful it is that we can invest our collective intelligence in making the surroundings around us much better, right? And we can give feedback about the things that we observe in our daily lives. And we can also become more proactive, like initiatives from the societies and communities can be proactive. For instance, like these cases here that you see, for instance, from the students of Academy of Arts, where they were looking for ways how to engage people in elections. You see also the COVID applications here locally that was launched in collaboration between the tech communities and the government's institutions to provide an effective way how to track the virus, right? And many initiatives like this, for instance, the Ministry of Health inviting the IT sector to participate in contributing for the requirements for the development of IT mass vaccination system. And what it made us think about is that there's so many ways how to engage us in civic lives, right? Like elections, like in giving feedback, like in other processes related to our daily lives. And here we see that there are many ways where design can actually come in, where design can step in and actually improve the aspects of our civic lives. So basically, democracy, in many ways, is a design problem. And as designers participating in various design processes, we also see that many people have actually something valuable to offer to design processes, providing that they have meaningful tools and process to express themselves, right? And we also know that this layer where people are creating, where they can express themselves, is something where we can get, as designers, very valuable insight into what's actually needed in terms of solutions, right? And we see hackathons here locally, abroad, which provide a good catalyst to involve societies and communities on a creative level, right? Enabling them to contribute their knowledge, their passion, what they're dreaming about, their aspirations. And our community is not an exception, right? Since 2015, and in a new gears, starting from the end of the last year, we have been trying to provide tools where we can learn from each other, where we can inspire from each other. And at this moment, we are more than 100 designers in our Slack channel, hundreds of coffees that we had in the mornings, especially this year, more than 600 members in Facebook, approaching 900 members on meetup.org, very rapidly growing LinkedIn community. There's so much power that actually we are contributing together, right? And here we, Yelena, right, is Madara, Krishan's Liga, Zana, we are also contributing our free time to provide you actually a space where you can freely express yourselves and inspire from each other and have many reasons to meet, right? Because beautiful things happen when we meet, when we engage with each other. And that's one of the reasons why we do this, why we do those events, why we organize the workshops, discussion panels about publicly important things like accessibility, because we believe that by raising design literacy, not only among us, but in society, but especially among us designers, we actually help us in equipping each other with new tools, how we can help communities around us, the organizations, people in organizations we are working in, to express themselves. And the better they can express themselves, the more insights we can get actually for the design work that we are doing. And we can actually include all those vast and rich experiences of our end audiences in design, making sure it's sustainable and it's bulletproof. So that's why we are doing all this. And coming to the announcement, we are really joyful in regards to a particular event which shows that the government and community is actually ready to collaborate in a very practical way. So we are happy to invite you to the upcoming hackathon, which is planned to happen in June 11 to June 13, where we ask you designers and in collaboration with Helve, with National Health Service, with Ministry of Health, to participate in finding new ways how design and technology can solve challenges related to healthcare in our society. So you see the link. You'll have the reminder of the link later. We kindly ask you to participate because designers, we need you. We need your energy. We need your passion. We need your insights. We need your contribution to actually finding ways how we can make sure that technology and design is effective in preventing people from illnesses, in helping people to cure from acute illnesses, and actually those who have chronic illnesses, help them live as good lives as they possibly can. And let's use our know-how, collective know-how and intelligence, knowledge about design, technology, to help our government services to get a meaningful input for the upcoming requirements and delivery plans that they will be making later when improving the digital healthcare services. So we're happy to invite you, and Zana, the torch has been passed to you.
Thank you, Raitis, for sharing our exciting news. This is what I was talking about, that there is something related why we call this month especially for the healthcare, and that's why we have chosen these two talks to kind of prepare you to this hackathon. All right, I hope you will join. Link is in a chat. So if you want, you can also explore the website now, or just leave the link for afterwards to explore it and sign up, read through it. But now I think we all are ready to get into our talks. So first, we will start with Lena's talk, how to invest in research, not in error corrections, the role of design in healthcare. I'm inviting Lena to the stage. Please take over the screen and let's listen to your talk. Welcome.
So, hello. Hello, and thanks for the torch. I'm catching it here in sunny Barcelona. Sorry for a little derailing of coastal life in Riga. But yeah, my name is Lena Kupcha, and I will actually bridge this wonderful announcements and story and kind of a framing approach with a reflection about very practical project I was working on together with our dear Yelena, who is also here. And yeah, this is the project we were working on last year. And just slowly and surely, yeah, my story is about the role of research in design process. And before I'm going into that, I have what I would like to think is, or ask you to think, or suggest, or nudge you, is just do not stick too much about what methods did we use, or what sheets, or what kind of exercises we were doing. I think the core idea, also in this context of new e-health hackathon and other things, is just to think about many those variations in the way how can you conduct a research in a very multi-player organization or with very multi-player cases. So yeah, my story, I hope, will be quite short and quite explicit in its best case. So yeah, probably most of you know the story about the famous walk of rakes, that you are stepping to the same problem you didn't solve some kilometers ago. So you are facing it again and again, and it maybe becomes less painful, but still it's always there. And usually the arguments when you are reflecting that how did we ended up again in the same situation are that, but it was so great idea, or new team, of course, fixed the old problem, or technically this is the newest and totally the best service, or somebody says that, but hey, come on, we have the best procedure in the world, everything should work, right? Or we have super great regulation, but again, things do not work. So we are having and enjoying this very ethnographically known walk of rakes. I think most of you can be familiar either personally or professionally with this wonderful feeling. And actually, I think we are somehow, by catching up design thinking and service design or any human-centered discipline, which is new probably, we are also a little bit catching up the bad habits in it. And this is a graph from New Zealand on number of times spent in each double diamond quarter. And here is one of the problems I really I like, because this is one of the proofs of what I said, that we are stepping on the rake again and again, because this shows, and actually it goes well together also with my personal experience, if I'm seeing or talking to my service design or design thinking or whatever human-centered colleagues, that we are very quick to jump on a solution stage, and we love ideations and post-it notes and workshops and varying whatever fancy post-its everywhere. But somehow there is a slight inclination to omit this very, 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 very super important, most important there. Discovery phase, meaning the research. And here's my story about that as well, how we faced it again and again. So last year we were working on the project which has an initial brief. It's called RADA register, which is some specific register of chronic patient data. It's tied together with famous system eHealth, at least amongst my Latvian colleagues. And it has this process has many stakeholders. There are at least 3 state institutions who do either politics or policies or finance some part of this process, or are asking this process to be done. And then, of course, there are doers, the implementers of the process, so-called, which are hospitals, who have to fill either in this register or by paper. They have to fill forms about the oncology patients. Just to have one more little argument or thing or food for thought is that 80% of all the patients are cured in one single hospital who actually somehow does this project. They do not does this process. They maybe are not the most efficient ones, but at least they have data. To other or other part of the hospitals, they are not entering these data in this database. So we had a brief. I hope it's we had a brief. How can we improve the process of oncology data entry in this registry system? We went to the field, of course, framing the questions and managing stakeholders and audiences and getting the research framework quite clear. How it felt after first 5 interviews, let's say, was that our initial brief wasn't quite the brief we were sort of working on, or wasn't the actual brief, which is totally normal situation. And if you feel like that, then you know that you are doing absolutely right. Because we really understood that stakeholders, meaning the partners, the policy makers or process makers, are seeing this situation either very technical or with the same famous argument, but come on, it should work. They have a procedure for that, right? But those who have to enter these or digitize these data and enter them in this specific system, either they opened over conversations with the question that actually we don't know, why should we do it? We are not motivated. or why should we do it, or this process is so clumsy, or it takes that much time that we gave up, we don't do it, we don't see any reason for doing that. And as peeling the onion again and again, and having conversations and some guided meetings or guided small workshops, we realized that yes, we should reframe our question, and we will get there. But one of the first things what we sort of gave up was, and it's a bit contradictory to today's theme, was that our process or our core persona in the process was not a patient as a human, as an oncology patient, but a doctor. And it also didn't appear sort of just quickly like changing the roles, but it took a while on this research field. Yeah, at first we sort of switched persona, and then we had to switch also, and several times we had to zoom out and zoom in and rephrase and revalidate. Either we are exercising the process, like how things are or how they should be, or we are exercising and questioning various interactions between various databases, or again, various different professionals and the databases or then data entry systems they use, because of course each hospital has its own digital ecosystem for this thing to make this process to make it even more complicated. And even there, on some other layer of this imaginary onion we are still peeling, we also found out that probably it's some tradition of, not that of new societies, but in generally of, it's just tradition that if things or if the process doesn't work with good technology, with efficient technology, then what do? We do it on a paper. And of course, when we do things on a paper, we are refilling the forms and passing them on and on to each other. We are multiplying the number of actually not so well paid professionals who are not even reevaluating each other work. It's not about quality process, but it's just about dumb retyping, let's say. I will be very harsh in this. So yeah, and then at some point, of course, it was clear that if we are looking on this particular challenge, that why we are not entering oncology data in the register, we figured out that in order to do it, then, for instance, doctor has either it's chemotherapist or surgeon or other who is a real doctor and have spent 20 years in academia and 20 more in a very exclusive practice basically, and he or she has to devote 6 hours, which is basically one full working day every week, to cope with all the paperwork. So it's total exclusivity if we still stick to all good paper. But anyway, that was what we mapped, and that was what we noticed, and we switched this sort of core user from data to what actually doctors do really need. Here are some screenshots you will definitely not not see or read. It's just to see how detailed were the blueprints we were filling together with, for instance, hospitals. What are their processes? We sort of examined it from registration to all the patient journey, or rather data journey in this case, how it flows or how it doesn't flow across different functions or systems, and where do it stocks. Where you see those red marks, it's an error there, or some kind of efficiency there. So yeah, and we did this in all 3 hospitals, and also with all policy stakeholders as well, because each of them had their own perspective on this. So it was really detailed job, detailed task. At some point, when initial blueprints were done, and basically when initial research was mixed our perceptions so well that it maybe was a bit confusing that what was the question we are trying to address. Also, we came to the conclusion that there are three themes, which I could call paradigm shift in order to sound very fancy, that we should at first further examine and further check what is the motivation of both of doctors, both of hospitals, and basically of each stakeholder, why he or she or they should gather data and how could they deploy data. That was one of the zones where we thought the problem lies. The other zone was ownership of the process, that as it happens in state-organized processes or policies or procedures or anything which is very institutionalized, sometimes when you go into research, when you go into field, you notice that there are very many contributors, but there are no owners. And there are some philosophical reasons why it is so. And it's pity it is so, but it's related to political culture and in generally the sense of responsibility and ownership in such fluid environments, say. And actually, I can I can understand the arguments in both positions that somebody should be 100% owner and responsible of the process, and also why they are so scared about it, because of course it's always a question about the result. Yeah, so that was the third. That was the second. That there wasn't actually an owner of this whole matter, let's say. And the third topic was a bit surprising to notice, but it also concerned the quality, both of process, how data are entered and how they appear in the system, and what is the result, the quality of quality of data. How can they be reused for science purposes, for improved healthcare service, and so on and so on. So we went away from this process searching because there is no single and universal solution for that, no magic pill. It's very, very tailored across each stakeholder, let's say. But the core thing was to address motivation, ownership, and quality question, because that will drive a change. And then again, after, in a next sort of, it was a workshop, of course, one of the first we could actually do last summer. It was between two lockdowns. So we managed to do it on a very, very, there was a small window of opportunity where we jumped in. Yeah, and we had a wonderful and very fruitful workshop where just show the difference. For instance, what is the motivation card? What is the motivation map we asked to fill? Motivation map, for instance, for state institutions and for hospitals, and just the amount of fields filled in the same given time. Of course, it gives a little bit of insight that where is the understanding of process, or where is the need. That of course hospitals, especially this leading hospital, they are at least they are motivated to improve this process, to have a better data, to have better and smoother and meaningful process in this data management, let's say. Meanwhile, policymakers can say, well, kind of, yes, we need them for statistics, and it would be nice if we would do something else. It would be nice. So, I mean, yeah, and for that we needed a workshop, of course, because that's the format how we can contradict even these two different mindsets when they come together. So that was very good outcome after that. And to sort of move it forward, to have some conclusions on what do we really want and how can we improve, how can we move from situation where we are lacking data for 2 years because one of the hospitals, they didn't enter data at all. So yeah, we had to choose the scope, sort of the caliber, where are we going to, and where we will start to do some, again, tailored made and very different solutions and set of pills or therapy, let's say, for each stakeholder. So we had to omit and skip the patient or society part because this is kind of narrow and specific scope still. So we have a doctor's team and doctor needs listed. We have hospital management because they are decision makers about the resources and of course both the getting resources and spending resources, all sorts of, and healthcare administration. So yeah, we went in these 3 layers, omitting the human-centered the general human-centered humans and focused it to professionals, of course, more or less. So yeah, and this is just a small illustration of this, what I said about this complexity of stakeholders, because this is just one digitized image of workshop materials again, but it really shows that these processes or these questions are never yes or no, or they are not straightforward. There are so many nuances and so many complexities that when you are in the field and working with such topics, you have to be prepared that there will not be any single answer. If there is, then check it twice, because it might be that somebody is pretending and answering towards some others. What else we learned from this? That, of course, there are people or stakeholders who speak about processes, and they love processes, and they have seen processes, and they have drawn the best processes in the world. There are stakeholders who always speak the problems, that there is no money, there is no people, we won't do that, and we just won't do it. Everything is bad, this process is stupid, everything is bad, we won't do it. Can somebody do it for us? And then there are some, and they are not usually the ones you identify, they are not the ones who speak louder or come up with the brave ideas, who actually lead you step by step to some truth. And the trick is probably, and it usually takes years or at least quite many projects, I think, that you can sort of arrange who is who and sort of differentiate those research, not even results, but I would say insights from process perspective. Yeah, well, again, just to show this this number of or level of detailing that our current scenario and our wishful scenario and our current scenario and various problem zones in that. So yeah, when we speak about doctors, actually, they were the ones who were, at least we treated them as those who know what's going on and what is the reason, and they have the best, most rational motivation of getting data and entering data and receiving data and working with data. So we focused on them. They were our truth tellers, say. And yeah, and it always required this matter that you should get to the core, and it's never technical. It might look the lovely, fluffy problem of form that, for instance, just let's skip some fields in a paper form and problem solved. But no, it's only a small small part of the problem which you can solve. So fluffy way. There is always something beyond the fluffiness. So you should always be brave enough, and also we had to be brave enough in this project to grab the lion by its mustache and sort of leave it there and have it heavy. So yeah, and one more thing, I think, while time might be in my favor, is just about this mindset thing I mentioned in the beginning, that the problems might be technical, or someone can say that there are some technical problems. For instance, statisticians, they cannot access specific register because of authorization or something else, or doctors do not want to, for instance, authorize in this last mile registry with their smart IDs or with their bank authorization profiles. Well, they don't want just because of the reasons. They have a right not to want to do something. But it doesn't mean that you should translate this as this, make this authorization easier, because the problem is always behind why they do not want it, or how do they want it, or where it's logical in their flow of the day. So in this project, I think it was a long goal, and there are quite many, what at least I have done, and Yelena too, that at least for me, this was total walk in someone's shoes project. And someone who is very busy professional with high ambitions. And so, yeah, it was never technical, it was human. But humans can solve technical problems. And actually, at the end of the day, as I already mentioned, we have this demo solution, which is kind of very tailored made and step organized, that for some, the changes are these ones, for some other, the changes are different. If that's a message of time, then yeah, so it's human matter, not a technical matter, always and sort of forever. And that's the core preamble when you are entering the zone of design research, that always look at the human, not about technology, because technology will catch up, but humans are the ones who use it. Yeah, and just to summarize that good research process, although it might not exactly lead to the solution, you don't go from A to B, or you don't get to answer the only question, but you maybe are derailed, you get more information, you understand more layers, or you understand that this particular problem cannot be solved with one decision or with one change, that there is complex around it. That's actually the most valuable part of research. The title of the speech was that, title was that it's better to do a research than solve problems, the idea. But it's also important to be ready that your research will not answer that particular problem. It may be in light some more problems and shine a light on more problems. But then again, with the next step, you can experiment and you can work on and you can pilot and build up already some good and meaningful solutions to this particular problem. So when work with the healthcare, it's really wise to understand complexity and just be ready to admit the complexity of the matter. Because yeah, if it would be from A to B, we all would be super happy and all systems would work and all processes would work smoothly, but it's not. Because in the core are humans who are biased and wonderfully biased in its best sense. And it takes this fluffiness to get over to the core and to the need. So yeah, that's my story in a short. I guess I managed to fit in time frame as well. When you have time for questions, I would be happy to answer.
Thank you, Liana. Thank you so much for your talk. We have several questions for you. It was super interesting. And as a matter of fact, that platform will be the one that we'll be looking at into the hackathon. So I think all of your story was super useful for those who will be joining on our hackathon, like just to see like how big the project actually is. And yeah, that was super interesting. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your experience, how it was to work with this kind of concept. As I mentioned in the beginning, we have switched a little bit like this QA sessions. So now we will have only time for 1 or 2 questions. And then afterwards, I will ask you to join our other speaker to answer maybe questions together, or as you feel like. All right. So the first question from Yanis. Was it possible to break the process down to MVP and shift to proof of concept and add research part to later phase of project in order to optimize on the go? Like, do you had like maybe some pilot hospitals in this project?
It's hard to say. Well, when one of the hospitals basically manages 80% of people, then you cannot say that you will work with as a pilot with basically majority. So it wouldn't. I wouldn't say in this particular case. But to rephrase it, yes, in a way, we hopefully managed to get improvements in this most ready on Rakus and Austrum Slimnīca, because the needs, what they had were, although it's a bit brick and mortar system, they are the ones who digitize paper forms. And it was a bit easier to find a solution for them, like improved forms, for instance, or improved process, how data are transmitted automatically from one system to another, because they are ahead. But I wouldn't call it a pilot project. Pilot project would be then, and I hope we will get to this phase when we will move ice in another hospital where no data are entered for 2 years. So at least personally and professionally, I think that there are incremental changes which we suggested, and they are, as long as I know, they are in a process in Rakus, but yeah, the pilots can be conducted there where nothing has been. At least that's my understanding. Did I answer the question? I will reread it.
I hope that you answered the question. Yanis
Thank you.
approves.
Thank you.
Great. All right. We have a question from Evia. When you create blueprints, do you take into account various variations between respondents, like skills, age, previous knowledge, some duties? If you do, how do you show that in a blueprint?
Very good question. I don't think that, for instance, in this case, the variation wasn't by skills age, by age at least. It rather was the variation, and we had some variations with the profile, because first blueprints we created together in the meetings, in the interviews. So there were, of course, varieties, because what, for instance, Ministry of Health knows about process is one thing, what those who do the process. So there were variations, like in a very natural way, I would say. Yeah, but how do we show it? We just had maybe some differences in a blueprint, but core swimming lanes and also milestones are kind of similar, I would say. If there were variations, we always put them in notes, of course, and questioned later on. So thanks.
Yeah. So so to differentiate who said what, and maybe make some clusters or something, like to understand. Yeah. All right, Evia, I hope that was you're satisfied with the answer. And we will move forward with the following questions in our last QA session. Once again, Liana, thank you so much for your talk. This again, like, this was super, I think, useful for our upcoming hackathon, for the people who will join us. Like, super great feedback on like what to look into and how to structurize it and what to prepare, basically. But right now we are actually on our break, so we are on time. Everything is happening, but now I will actually give you 5 minutes of break, so you can go fill up your water bottles, get some snacks, and we will continue with the warm-up session, a small activity, so you don't miss our second speaker. So I will put in a timer on the screen. So go relax for 5 minutes and see you shortly.
Alles? That's it? No more, no more alcohol, no more nothing.
All right, those were our last seconds of the coffee break. And now I would like to grab your phones, and Christianis has prepared some fun activities before our next speaker. So Christianis, please take over my screen, and remaining of us, grab your phones.
Yes, thank you, Zana. So, as mentioned, can you see my screen? Super. So for this activity, it will be a small warm-up, but instead of your shoulders and then necks, now we will use our fingers and a little bit of, well, thought of what are our preferences. So I will ask you to either scan the QR code or go to menti.com and enter the code that you see above, 34550472. And once you are in, press the heart icon so I can see how many are we here, so I know when to begin the activity. So we'll wait for a few seconds for you to log in. So I see that some of you have entered, and the hearts have kind of slowed down. So I think that we can begin with the activity. So for the activity, generally the question will be, which do you prefer? There will be two answers, and you have to choose your preference or your favorite. So let's begin. So vitamin C or vitamin D, which is yours? Okay. I see we are quite equally split here. Maybe a slight increase with vitamin C. So nice. Well, I guess you can get those two in different ways. I mean, citrus or mushrooms. Or getting to the next question, when getting the medicine, which is your preferred way? Are those the pills that you can swallow, or that's a medicine syrup or a liquid way? So which is the state that you prefer to take your medicine? Okay, again, quite equal, leaning towards vitamin C in the pill shape form. Not bad. Let's continue. Now something, again, the health is not only the vitamins we take, but also the things that we, I guess, keep in good health and shape, if you can say that. So toothbrush or electric toothbrush, which one is yours? Okay, so going for the how you say, the basics, going to the basics. At least the majority. Some still prefer electric. So in those terms, would it be electric thermometer or liquid thermometer? So yeah, for those who are further away from Baltic states, I'm now thinking whether or not the liquid one with mercury you had experience in using during your childhood is now the thing is actually banned in this country. So, but we can say that actually it's equally split between the groups, 10 and 10. Nice. For me, it's yeah, something about that that liquid one that yeah, is more preferred for me as well. Continuing on something to, again, keep us in shape, staying healthy. What do you prefer? Do you prefer to run or do you prefer to hike? Okay, so slightly more are going to hike rather than for those runs. I guess that the 1st of January or beginning of New Year is the time when there are more runners, and towards summer maybe they become less. But speaking of which, once you are doing these activities, which of the applications is the one that you use or prefer? Is it Nike Run or Strava? And this doesn't have to refer to the running or hiking. It can be also biking, but generally which one you prefer or you use in most cases. So I see a bit more, or well, kind of majority goes to for the Strava. Interesting. So let's continue. Okay, and this is, again, might be something closer for Baltics, but the question is, once you get injured or you bruise yourself, which is the one thing that you use against the bacteria and those things? Is it brilliant green, or other called zielonka, or is it hydrogen peroxide, which is the one that you put on your bruises to get all those microbes away? Right. I think this is, yeah, probably the question would be for those who chose brilliant green, like you probably like pain more than the others. At least that's from my experience. I don't know, but I think at least my memories for this one was quite painful once I bruised myself. And as the last question, and going back to the previous one, once you have cleaned your bruise or your injury, what is the thing that you use? Either the Band-Aid or it is Plantego. And yeah, this was again kind of once putting these questions in, thinking how many would actually know this from the people who are maybe abroad. But to explain the Plantego or Celmalapa in Latvian, it's a plant that once we were kids and we bruised our knees, we were putting to stop bleeding, or maybe not stop bleeding, but at least feel better. And I believe it kind of helped. So I thought that a good thing would be actually to combine these two, to kind of have a Band-Aids with some, how you say, the Plantego, Plantego material in them. So yeah, interesting. Thank you very much for the activity. It was nice to see how different preferences we have. So let's return to the main stage, and yeah, Sanne, take over the screen.
Thank you, Christians, for this fun activity. Yeah, there were some, I think, Baltic medicine that we use when we were child. Yeah, I saw one of the Lithuanian participants also noticed that green stuff, what we put on bruises. All right, thank you. I hope everyone has enjoyed their break, and everyone is here after also the activity. I would like to welcome on stage our second speaker, Linda, and her talk, Balancing Various UX UI Aspects when Working with Medical and Sensitive Information. Linda, stage is yours.
Hi, I'm just gonna share my screen.
We see your screen, but it's not on the present mode.
Yeah, I'm trying. Okay, I'm gonna just do it this way. Okay. Okay, can you see?
Yes, perfect. It's working.
Okay, great.
Welcome.
Yeah, so hi, my name is Linda Scheibe. I'm product designer at medtech company Longenesis, where I have designed multiple digital health products that are aimed to ease collaboration processes between biomedical institutions, researchers, and patients. And when designing for digital health products, I've noticed a few common patterns that I have come across quite often. And the latest project where I had to solve many of these aspects was Screenings, which is a breast cancer risk assessment platform. And therefore, I will base my examples through this product. I will also touch on a little bit on our other product, Curator, but that will be regarding solutions for data privacy and collaboration with researchers. So just to give you a little bit of background on the project itself, we noticed that the situation regarding breast cancer was really horrible, as you can see the statistics. Compared to other countries, Latvia has one of the lowest participation rates in screenings programs, which also contributes to reason on why breast cancer, unfortunately, is the leading cause of death and disability here as well. And it's all well knowing that these numbers could be largely reduced by only having a better knowledge and detection culture, because early diagnosis gives patients up to 98% of chance for successful treatment. And this is something that many don't know. We also learned that there are no available data registries that could allow smarter database decision-making and gain better insights. So being a medtech company, we saw an opportunity and decided to build a digital platform for breast cancer pre-screening and risk assessment with a goal to raise a better prevention culture in Latvia, while also developing the possibility for participants to contribute their story to research programs. And yeah, to achieve such broad goal of raising awareness among so many and collecting useful data for research, of course, the engagement had to be good. So these are the insights. So for me to understand how I could help serve this goal and to increase engagement through design, I had to understand first what are the leading causes for such low interest. So it could be the first step for improvement. And so through some research, we discovered that there are quite many barriers for women, and fear of cancer, death, and pain is one of the leading barriers. And then there are lack of knowledge, reading difficult or even boring information, and many other system barriers, what lead people actually to zone out from such information. Adding to that, state-only focus is on women of risk group, which is 50+, and in my opinion, this is a little bit too late to start raising awareness, and so we also wanted to reach a little bit younger audience, and also some other problems is that the state only sends out letters in Latvian and in paper format, which is also a little bit old school, can get lost and overlooked and so on. And yeah, of course, that design can't really solve all of the issues. These are the ones that I concentrated on. And these are the three big challenges I noticed to face quite often in digital products. So I'm going to try to dive in a little bit deeper through these aspects. Yeah, so we have medical information, which is a challenge because often it is difficult to read and for many even boring. We have fear and health threats that often make users feel uncomfortable. And we have never-ending data privacy issues with ever-switching regulations. So I will try my best to show you my experience, how I balance those aspects. So the first one is medical information perceptibility. So as I mentioned, the problem is that a lot of the times medical information can be quite dry and technical, and that can bore the reader and lead them to zoning out. And we know that a regular user's attention span is usually really low by default. So one of the solutions, how I usually try to improve this, is to split information in smaller blocks wherever possible. In screenings example, we could split the information in simple test format, which gave a way to lead the reader through information in a simpler step-by-step process. In this case, you could just choose a test which you're interested in, fill in a questionnaire, and you get a personalized health report with suggestions. I'm sorry, just a little bit dry throat. And yeah, this was also one of the solutions to reduce cognitive overload and make information less overwhelming for the user by showing only the most relevant information to the specific user. In this case, we could also structure the data so it would be, it would fit only the specific user. In this case, we could structure it by age group and users' risk factors. So that's how we reduced some amount of info so that it fits only the reader and we can keep their attention. Another problem, another problem is that health problems usually aren't pretty, to say the least, and unless you're a doctor, it can be really disturbing to see such images and can serve as a barrier to follow through the information. And in screenings, experience very medical, even disturbing images in self-examination tests where I had to showcase red flags for breast cancer so that women could learn to recognize them. But what I noticed is that no female felt quite comfortable looking at such images. And even I had to turn away and cover the images every now and then because they were kind of painful to look at them. And yeah, so in screenings case, my solution for that was to use informative illustrations that could still serve the self-examination purposes and with whom I could make the process less threatening and easy to follow, while also being shareable on social media and so on. And this was also one of the things that made this subject as a whole a lot more user-friendly, and it nicely kind of refreshed the instructions and medical information. Yeah, and also kind of made it a little bit more appealing to a younger audience. And yeah, so we have the next problem. And as we saw in the insights, that one of the biggest barriers to follow through such information for many was fear. Yeah, reducing all the risk, reading all the risk factors and likelihood of getting cancer can seem really dreadful and scary, which in returns lessen the chance of this being engaging and can once again lead the audience to turn away. Yeah, and what I like to keep in mind is that the user who seek such information are trying to find a solution to their problem and therefore try to find some kind of comfort and resolution that everything can be okay. So the last thing a reader wants is to leave the platform with more distress than they came with. So what I noticed is that positive affirmations and feedback can help and give comforting feeling. It can boost their belief that they can deal with it and lessen just the overall stress. So, for example, this is a part of the report where users see their risk factors, and even though originally risk factors by definition are health threats, we organize them in 3 sections. One where we present the risks which they have right now, but in the other part we name the risks which they don't have, but showed them in a positive way, that these are the things where they're doing good and where they can keep doing the progress. And the last section, we showed factors that do not affect them, but we showed them for a purpose of informing that those do exist, and once they know about them, they can look out for those in the future. And for this part, we also had multiple iterations, and so far, this was the best solution and latest solution. Yeah, we also tried to make it clear and give explanations for every detail we tell or ask from the user, for example, in the tests, on why is it important to keep the user informed and feel like they're in control of their decisions. Yeah, so another observation from me is that appropriate tone of voice can make a huge difference. So what I wanted to make sure is that the content and language for this project was really friendly, informal, optimistic, and solutions oriented. What I want to always make sure is that the text is easily understood for the audience, in this case for an audience that has no medical background. So the content was carefully edited with our whole team and tested with users to make sure that it is. And yeah, to keep information digestible, it always helps to keep it short and on point, with option to always learn more when interested. So often less can be more to keep the attention. One of the things that also has helped to keep in mind throughout this and other projects is to try to find out what motivates your user to take that specific action. And you can learn this by interviewing those that are already doing it, or by doing qualitative research method, if there are such studies. We did a little bit of both. And for screenings, we learned that one of the biggest motivators for women to do self-checkups was in fact knowing the severity of the situation and the belief of adapting preventive behavior. So in this case, we did emphasize these two facts. We used the first one to highlight the severity, and the other one to comfort and kind of balance out the threat with adding benefits of self-examination. And so we used these posters a lot to draw the attention to these things. And we've come to the last challenge, which is data privacy challenges. And due to medical and sensitive nature of the data, extra consent approvals and registration steps had to be implemented. And this in return can be a barrier to continue due to a lack of patience and suspicion to read those documents. So because there can be many extra steps that are asked from the user when dealing with health data, one of the rules I have for myself is to try to bring as much value and interest before users ask for those extra steps. So try to intrigue the user and bring good value content first. And so in this case, we didn't show the consent form on the main screen as we thought first, but just before the test or when it was absolutely necessary. Another thing is that before someone registers or signs a digital consent form, users want to feel safe that they can trust the website. So one thing you can do is to plan placements for some credentials, like in this case, doctor credentials, publication references, partners, anything you can show some credibility. You also want to be transparent during all these steps, and also there are certain rules for such consent forms as well to comply with regulations. They need to be organized and in sections so that they're easily readable, so you can really show the, you can't really show the smallest font, for example, as it used to be. and you cannot show the full document and just the button and so on. And yeah, we also gave users an opportunity to revoke their consent later on if they change their mind. And the last challenge was that I had to design these test results so that they can be viewed by researchers, while also preserving privacy and identity of users who provided the data. And for this solution, we used one of our existing products, which is Curator, which serves as a bridge from patient to researcher, enabling safer and compliant data curation to use for further collaboration. And here we use live statistics of the data, where you can see what kind of info and how much there is, while also preserving the anonymity of the user. And depending on the project, users may allow to connect with them for further research only if they want to. And yeah, this is how we created the full circle of screenings project, going from regular user to researcher and tackling some of the obstacles to get there in between. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Linda. Thank you for sharing the project insights, how you actually work with all of this. And I must agree with writers who comments that this is really great example of reducing the sense of fear and anxiety through this thoughtful design and illustrations. Like this is really incredible. Like once I also entered in a website and I felt like oh my god, this looks so good. And like if I wanted to see like the results for myself, like it's just like I don't have this fear like just to seeing that results, like, right? Because with all this design, it's super good, like all these really nice illustrations. And it's not, yeah, like you said, it's not showing those crazy images that would make you fear, but with all these illustrations, you really made it work. Like really good job. I really applaud you. You and your team. All right, we have some questions in. I will also ask Liana to join on panel discussion, so I could actually ask some questions for both of you ladies. But Linda, first question for you. You talked about how you more about these results. We are actually interested, and Yelena is asking what research methods actually you used to come up with these solutions. Maybe you have some details on that you can share, research methods that you used.
Yeah, so we combined interviewing, like qualitative and quantitative methods. We did use some already useful publications where there are studies about these subjects that were really useful, but we also did go and ask feedback from as many women as we could, friend groups, colleagues, and other, like, just where we could get our hands on. So yeah, we just really get our first structure from what are the motivators, what are the fears, and so on. And we developed the first version, and then we just tested with first users, like, does this work? And just searched for another improvement ways. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yelena, did you get your answer? Great. Okay. Just the following question, like for these questionnaires, like how did you recruited actually users for the testing? as it's difficult and really sensitive subject?
For testing tests, you mean, right?
Yeah, like for the first researches and yeah.
Yeah, we did the approach of consulting with our friend groups and their friends and like everyone we knew. So we started with that. And because our main audience is really a healthy audience, not someone who's already got cancer, so that actually fit our testing group. So we did this approach. And oh yeah, and actually we did later on send out some feedback forms and received, and we do receive like proactive feedback from online users. So that's also one way to receive that.
Okay, great. I will leave you to relax because I have one question for Liana. So just to get back to Liana's talk, Liana, you are here, right?
So I'm here. I'm still here.
Okay, perfect. You were talking about this onion in the beginning of your presentation. Our listener, right, is interested. What was the moment of the project when you realized the onion has been peeled enough to continue to the next design phase?
I think it's quite typical answer that when you don't gain any new insights or any new answers, the same as for any qualitative research method, that as soon as answers start to repeat, you know that you have done enough, basically. That was one, but actually for this particular onion or for this particular situation, it felt enough when we when we agreed about the scope and about what will be the next step after our project and what will be the requirements of it. And then then it was clear that it's enough, that we are not going into more technical details or very specific technical details, that we still stay on this human need, on the doctor's need side.
All right. Thank you so much. I actually will use one of your questions to both of you ladies. Would like to hear your opinion in this. Talking about discovery and research phase, of course, research is important. We need to have a research. How, in both of your projects, you are actually convincing stakeholders to allocate more time on the research before you start to do design and developing? Maybe Liana, you could start with the answer, as this was question for you, and actually I'm interested to hear Linda, your answer as well in this question.
I can try to answer, at least in the beginning, this with unserious take that, well, just by doing or by convincing. But if seriously, then by showing results or showing what would be the gains or what is now, what would be better if we are. It's kind of scenario mapping, I would say, or scenario planning. And yeah, that's one of the, I think, safest ways how to do it. As I think in any collaboration of between multiple stakeholders and client need or partner needs. So it's by just showing and communicating what is the best, where should we stop, what is enough. But the thing is that you can never have these conversations at the beginning. That is one more learning, not only from this project, but in generally, that when you are entering the Terra research, then it's just be smart and plan at least twice as much time and other resources as well for research, because it always takes more, especially in this field. The same what Linda also said. I think if we always look on the initial estimates, how much time we will spend on research and how much money actually we will spend, and how much how much budgets we have devoted for that, it's always double.
All right. All right. That's really interesting. Leon, what is your answer to this? Like, how many actually stakeholders were involved in screenings project, and how do you convince them to have a research, big one?
Well, this was actually our own company's initiative to start this project, so there weren't really many stakeholders. But yeah, about the research phase, I would say that it depends on the project, because in some you can just like start creating faster if you know that you're allowed to fail a little bit and just improve with the next iterations. And yeah, sometimes it's enough to just get the first structure ready and then later on convince that, okay, we need more information on this and this and this. So, you know, just like the like specific steps where you need more information, and just to be able to design. And I think that should be enough to convince someone that you need more.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's well, those are two different projects, and like on the first project it was involved like different organizations and parties in, so it was yeah, so I agree with both of your answers that it's quite difficult, yeah, in one and another case. All right, Liana, I have a question for you from Yelena. How to make the voices of those who speak the truth louder?
Oh, Lena, that's a good question. I think there is no magic pill and magic bill again. Again, it's by persuading and by showing them and by sort of inviting them to speak and to argument and to shining a light on them and having an argument, because it's always there is always this story about several layers of vision, that what you can see if you are, for instance, in our case, for instance, if you are policy or politics maker, you see, I don't know, in such pixels. And when you are on the ground and when you are patient, which Linda was basically talking about, it also resonated a lot with our insights. So yeah, it's an art everywhere, how to make those who matter seen. I think it's rather psychological and philosophical skills than service design or design thinking set. So just by doing, again, I would say.
All right, Yelena, do you got your answer? Thank you so much. Linda, one question from Yanis for you. First of all, really nice design website, so compliments on that. While you were doing a research, like product was not launched yet, nothing was there, you were still doing research. Was there actually any red flags that triggered immediate advice to see the doctor as soon as possible? Were there any cases of that?
Yeah, well, actually, all of the red flags, if you receive any of the red flag, it's immediate reaction just to consult with your doctor, and that is something we recommended. It does not mean that it's breast cancer, but it's also like a immediate response to go to the doctor always.
All right, so that's I think an interesting turning point in your research process, when you actually see like that, yeah, women need help, and you found that out only on the research phase. All right, I'm going through my questions that I have here, and it looks like we have answered most of them. A lot of people are saying, Linda, excellent work, super great design.
Thank you.
All right, I think it looks like we have answered all of them. Yeah, it was a small discussion, but really
I
nice
think there's Latvian one.
All right. Okay. Now I need to read it through and translate it. Okay.
That's a long one.
Oh, yes. A lot of medical terms coming in. I might need some help in here.
I can try to help. So, yeah, there are a lot of factors and that low the participation in the screenings programs, and it kind of slows down the discoveries. And you are right, there are also other factors that would help. For example, yeah, the women sharing their experience, mammography is my claim. And
sorry, maybe I can, it's my comment.
Oh,
yeah, maybe you can
I can say it
comment.
in English. It was actually a comment. It was not a question, but now I decided to ask also something. What I commented there was that there in Latvia, we had a survey, a qualitative survey several years ago, and we actually looked for the factors that inhibit or promote women to go to perform the screening. And we found out many of those that were in the presentation, that there were also other factors, like other women experience a painful experience when they did the examination, so they did not want to go other time, or they did not want to advise anyone else to go. That was one of the inhibiting factors, and like one of the most promoting factors was that your family doctor said, hey, did you go to the doctor? Did you see, did you do your screening? So it was one of the factors that actually promote the doing screening, going to the screening. And then my question was that when you design the applications or websites or whatever, do you actually look on other research or other surveys that has been done on the same topic, or you always do everything on your own? You create your own focus groups, your own investigation. Do you look to some other articles or some other surveys?
Yeah, of course, we did research already the available publications from the popular MedPub sites for doctors, and we also did go some other sites in Latvia and elsewhere to find examples, to find what's already existing here and how we could improve on those. And yeah, you're totally right, and I'm aware that it is a bit of problem that doctors are not as proactive as they should be to promote women to go check their health. But unfortunately, that is not something that we can solve, and we can solve only by promoting women to take health in their hands and just go check this by themselves. So also the report was created in a way so it could be printed out for women, so they can go to their doctor and show it, okay, this is what I got, what can you tell me about it? So yeah, that was one way to kind of like get on the little tip of the iceberg of the problem. Yeah, and so also another thing maybe that kind of touches the same thing is that we started organizing conversations on Facebook where you can just talk with a doctor live, and they can kind of start the conversation. And even if it's not your own doctor, you can join and hear some professional's opinion on it. So I think that also kind of a little bit helped.
No, it's great. Actually, I loved your website, so it's really great.
Thank you. And yeah, about the experience of other women, it is something that would be really nice, but we kind of haven't really got the resources to get that as well. But I hope that it can be in the next improvements.
All right, thank you, Evia, for helping out on this. That was more a medically related question that I felt so confused. So sorry about that. Right, you have a hand. Please speak up.
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much, Linda. Very thoughtful design, and really great to take a look in details on the design process. And thanks, Leon, for discussion regarding the screening topic. It's also planned to take a look at this topic in the upcoming hackathon, to how to work with the cancer screening process, how to work with patient awareness and prevention processes. So just letting you know that it's an opportunity to continue the work and help out in this area through the hackathon format as well. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Righty, for shout out. All right, I think we have answered all of the questions, and it's just really positive feedback coming in. Like, thank you, ladies, for super great presentations. I think we all have learned something, how it is to do a research in a healthcare. And I think we are actually moving forward to end of our meetup. Once again, ladies, thank you so much for your for your presentations. As in the beginning I mentioned, we have recorded this this session. So if you want to rewatch any of the presentations, you will be able to do that really soon on our YouTube channel. All right, now I would like to do some sharing from the community. Yeah. So we have, as mentioned, we have our Slack channel where all Latvian designers are, most of the designers are joined already. We're waiting for the remaining ones. So if you haven't joined the Slack channel, please scan the QR code and join this channel, so you get all the latest design-related information in Latvia, in Baltics, and maybe perhaps in Europe. We're talking about different job opportunities over there, different events, and you will be the first ones to know about also meetups and so on. We are inviting you to create content with us. We have a Medium page where we are inviting you to share your stories. If you don't feel good enough to be writing a story, you can have a chat with us, tell a story, and we will help you to write it, just to get out the really amazing stories, really amazing research projects out, and share all of it with the new designers, existing designers, and just spread the word through our channel in the Medium. And again, a reminder about the hackathon. This event will be in Latvian, so most of the participants will be Latvians, but we are also welcoming international mentors to join this hackathon. So remember, June 11th till 13. We will be working on the e-health platform, like Liana was already working with that. So a lot of good insights from there, from her presentation. So I bet you would rewatch the presentation one more time to prepare yourselves for the hackathon. And yeah, please join us. We need designers for this amazing hackathon to make eHealth great and get some new ideas in. And of course, if you have any questions or you just want to follow us, we are everywhere: Facebook, LinkedIn, Slack. And if you want, you just write an email to us if it's maybe something related about community or the upcoming hackathon. And if anyone has anything to say, now is the time to do that. Please raise your hand and I will try to see that you are raising it. And we'll give you a microphone if you have something to say. If not, then you can always write to us. All right, no one. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Nobody. Okay, all right. Now it's time for the cool down session. Christians, you have something to say regarding this?
Thank you, Zen. So as the last cool down, I will not be actually showing any exercises or fun activities, but yeah, just asking you to either follow the link that I wrote in the chat or the QR code you can see here and fill in a rather short feedback form. It probably will take only a few minutes, but it would be a great help for us, for this community, to think about the themes that you want to hear in the next time, and well, yeah, and also when the next time will be, as well as several other ones. So yeah, please do some cool down activity to reflect on how did you like this. And yeah, of course, all feedback is good, both bad and good. We are here to learn and improve.
Yes, absolutely. So scan this QR code or enter the link that is placed in a chat and leave us feedback. We will really, really appreciate that. But I must say that was it. Thank you so much, everyone who joined. Thank you, both of the speakers, Lian and Linda. Thank you so much for sharing your stories. It was super great to hear all of that. And yeah, I think everyone could learn something out of it. And now is the last chance to say something if somebody has something to say. Maybe you were a little bit shy previously when I asked. Maybe you can say something now. If not, then you can always reach us out, like on the messages on Facebook or in Slack. So we will wait for your messages. But right now, yeah, that was it. I hope you really, really enjoyed. You can all put clapping emojis on on Zoom or some other emojis. Perfect. Emojis coming in. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us. We don't know what's happening during the summer, but we will wait for your feedback and we will see what you will say over there. If you want, if you don't want a meetup during the summer, we will see. But yeah, right now I don't have an exact date for it. We just need to listen for to your feedback. Thank you, speakers. Thank you, everyone who joined us today. Now you can go back to your daily life. And once again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.